In a very strategic and calculated move, the Detroit Lions decide to waive rookie defensive end Ahmed Hassanein with an injury settlement. You guys remember we drafted him in the 6th round. You guys saw the draft video. He said he would die for Dan Campbell. He said all the right things in training camp. And probably if he's not injured, he is still on the team, ready to play his first NFL regular season game. But the NFL is a brutal sport, unforgiving, and he wound up having a pec injury in his 2nd preseason. I think it was the 3rd preseason game. The Detroit Lions have 4 in total, including the Hall of Fame. Well, when we heard pec issue, we thought he was done for the season. Usually a pectoral injury, you're done for the season. CJ Gardner-Johnson had one a few years ago, and he wind up coming back before the season is over, defied all expectations because those type of injuries will sideline you for the season. We found out he didn't need surgery, which gave us hope. And then the Detroit Lions decided to waive him with an injury settlement. When Brad Holmes got in front of the media on Thursday, which is the last time we will see him into the trade deadline if the Detroit Lions make a move, he said that Ahmed would be back on the Detroit Lions. Here's what he had to say and how does that work. Says, bottom line, he's going to be a Detroit Lion. He's going to be back on the football field playing this year. That's what Brad Holmes said. Hassanein, this is coming from prior to Detroit, by the way, ultimately cleared waivers and is now technically a free agent. However, Holmes' comments suggest there is essentially a handshake deal between the two to return to Detroit once healthy. By NFL rules, the Lions cannot re-sign Hassanein until the length of the agreed-upon settlement, which is currently unknown, plus an additional 3 weeks. So to put that in perspective, the Lions had a couple of options. So first of all, waiving him. Waiving him, the reason it was a strategic move is because when they waived him, he would have had to, in order to come back, have a chance to come back to the Detroit Lions, he would have had to clear waivers, which he did. Why did they take that risk? Well, they took that risk because if a team was to claim him, not only would they be claiming an injured player, they would also absorb his contract as well. And he would have to go on the 53. What sense does it make to put an injured player with that type of injury on your 53-man roster? Remember, if you get claimed through waivers, you are automatically added to the 53-man roster. So they took that chance. Of course, he passed. It was probably 99% sure he was going to pass through. But that means currently he is not a Detroit Lion, and he has to come back to Detroit in order to come back to the team. Like, he has to come back. He technically could sign anywhere else, but if he comes back to the Detroit Lions, he has to wait an additional 3 weeks from whatever they decide that length of settlement is going to be. Now, there's a player I want to bring up from a few years ago that why the handshake deals, I'm going to tell you what. I know a lot of y'all, Brad Holmes said he was going to be back. That's not really for Brad Holmes to say. There was a person that 2 years ago, put in the comment section below, and then I'll tell you sometime during this video. It was a person from 2 years ago that the Detroit Lions waived with an injury settlement. He had every intention to come back to Detroit, but he signed elsewhere. Who was that player? Where did he go? Yeah, who was that player and where did he go? So this is essentially a handshake deal where it's like, listen, you're out, wait another 3 weeks, and then we can bring you back. He's free to go to any team right now, but after, if he wants to come back to the Detroit Lions, he has to wait another 3 weeks past the injury settlement, the length of that he was going to be out. All right, so according to Mike Payton, here's what he had to say that the choices that the Lions had, and this was from an article a couple days ago, and this is from A to Z Sports. It says, what happens next? The Lions have 2 choices. They have 5 days. I'm assuming that is from him being cut, which was Tuesday. That 5 days puts that, I don't know if it's business days or days period, but if it's business, which is probably business, it would be Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Monday's the holiday, so maybe sometime next week. Says they have 5 days to offer an injury settlement to Hassanein, in which they would pay him for the number of games he's expected to miss and then release him. He can sign with any team in the league except for the Lions at that point. They could also do nothing, and Hassanein heads to IR. I'm thinking it probably would be the latter choice. So I'm a bit confused because I've looked all over the place and I've seen different different articles. For everything that I've seen, he is a free agent, but Mike says that he reverts back to the Detroit Lions. So I don't know which one is correct. From all the research that I've done, he's the Lions waived him with an injury settlement. He's no longer on the team. He went on unclaimed, so he has to wait. He has to wait whatever length of time he was going to be out. If he wants to come back to the Detroit Lions, it will be an additional 3 weeks. But here is a breakdown of the process. And yes, I blew this up really, really big so you guys could see it. Says, what is an injury settlement? An injury settlement is a financial agreement where the team pays the player a lump sum for a certain number of weeks, covering the time they are predicted to be injured and unable to play. What is the trade-off? The team is essentially buying out the player's contract for the remainder of the season and absolving themselves from future medical expenses and salary obligations. In return, the player agrees to a release of liability, meaning they cannot pursue further claims against the team for that specific injury. The waiting period. After the team releases the player with an injury settlement, they are prohibited from re-signing that player for the duration of the settlement period plus an additional waiting period, which is now 3 weeks. I wonder what it was before. The re-sign aspect. The team doesn't have to re-sign the player. They are free to do so if they choose, after the waiting period, of course. The injury settlement is a method for the team to cut an injured player from their roster, not a contractual obligation to bring them back. Why teams do it? They do it. It says this is often used during the preseason or early in the season to free up a roster spot while managing the team's finances and avoiding carrying injured players who are not expected to contribute. So what I got from there is that he is injured. I don't know about this reverting back to the team or the squad or whatever. I know in some cases you can do that. I don't know what those cases are, but according to all the research that I've done, but if I'm wrong, let me know down in the comment section below. I can only go off what I even looked on the NFL operations website and I couldn't find anything about him saying that he reverted back. Most of everything that I read, as a matter of fact, everything that I read said that he is now a free agent. So what does that mean? So the Detroit Lions did have an option. They could have put him on the IR, right, which is the designated to return. So the Detroit Lions essentially get 10 spots of IR during the season. You know, if you go on IR, you are out for a minimum of 4 games, not 4 weeks, but 4 games from the time you were put on injured reserve. So if they used it on Broderick Martin last year, they did a designated to return. He missed the beginning of the season, and then they elevated him off. I don't believe they did it with Ife Melifonwu. He went on twice last year, which burned 2 IR elevations. So they could have put Ahmed on the designated to return, I assume, and then that would have left them. They could have brought him back during the season, but I'm guessing they didn't want to, because I don't think anyone's on that list. I don't think we still have a couple of days before the season. So I think the Detroit Lions will update that list if they're going to put, like, for instance, maybe they put Josh Pascal. They move him from the PUP to the injured reserve designated to return if he's not ready. And then, so that's probably why they did it, because they didn't want to burn, because you only get 10 spots all season. So if a bunch of players go on IR, if you got 10 players on IR, you raised all 10 of those, including the designated to return, because you have 8 and then the 2 from the designated to return for a total of 10. So if you brought those guys up, there would be no more IR elevation. So if you put somebody on IR, they would be done for the season. But you also cannot put anybody on IR, just have them inactive every game as well. So it's like a dance that you have to play. But if you haven't figured out who is the player, when Brad Holmes, when you talk about handshake deals, which is essentially what this is, and if it weren't for Ahmed saying, I want to be a Detroit Lion, I die, all this other stuff, he could find somewhere else to go. Somebody else could call him with a sweeter deal. He could go over there, right? So it's a good thing for Brad's sake, since he said he was coming back, that is the case. Ahmed wants to play here. So who was the player that was probably going to come back but wind up not coming back? Chase Cota. Chase Cota was an individual. I had somebody reach out to me that they said they were related to Chase. They didn't want me to say who they were and what relation they were, but said that Chase Cota was going to come back to Detroit, but he did not want to wait the extra 3 weeks, and he wind up signing with the Kansas City Chiefs. So I think that those type of handshake deals does not mean that Ahmed could come back. Well, that he's going to come back. Right now, it's just a what up, though. Right now, it's a gentleman's agreement. It's a gentleman's arrangement. Hey, don't go anywhere. We want to bring you back, right? But that's what it is. But Chase Cota made the decision to go play for the Kansas City Chiefs, and it wound up being a pretty good one because that year we wound up getting to the NFC Championship game, and instead of playing the Chiefs in the Super Bowl, he was on the Chiefs and won a Super Bowl along with the now suspended for 12 games Isaiah Buggs. How crazy is that? It looks like if you don't play for the Detroit Lions, you actually win Super Bowls, which is crazy, man. I'm sorry. I had to take it, man. I had to take it. I'm feeling okay today, but I had to take it, man. It got under my skin real quick. So Ahmed Hassanein, gentleman agreement that he'll be back. Not a guarantee he'll be back. If he decides that he wants to go somewhere else, he could make that decision. So that is something that you guys should think about we did the same thing with Zadarius Smith. You just knew he was coming back. And I mean, Ahmed will probably be back, no doubt, because he seems like that he's like, yo, I want to play here. That's it. Nobody can lure me away. But I'm not saying it's not. I'm saying it's just not a done deal until he's back on the team. That's all I'm saying. But let me know your thoughts in the comment section below. Were you surprised by the cut? Were you shocked? I mean, do you think he returns? I think he does return. It would be, I think with Chase Cota, I'm going to tell you what I think happened with Chase Cota. Chase Cota, and I forgot to mention this in my other video. The year we cut Chase Cota, we waived him with an injury settlement. We wind up signing Antoine Green. And in my humble opinion, Chase Cota won. He should have been on the roster instead of Antoine Green. And I think because of that, and then you tell me I have to wait 3 weeks, and then you tell me that the Kansas City Chiefs are calling me, I'm probably going to go over there. So I think that that is the case. Speaking of Antoine Green had to, I don't know if he medically retired, but he had to, quote, step away from football due to a spinal cord injury. I don't know if it was received in the football game or off the field, but Antoine Green, the 7th round pick of the Detroit Lions, I believe that was 2022, is no longer on in the league. He decided to step away. I don't know if it's permanent, but probably with a spinal cord injury, he is going to be done. All right, so let me know your thoughts down in the comments below. Do you think he returns? Did you like the move? I'm sure we all understand it. I think he comes back, but I wouldn't be so sure until it's not a guarantee that he'll come back. He'll be back is what I'm trying to say. This channel is made possible by viewers, subscribers, and members just like you. It's because of your support I get to do what I do. You could be anywhere else on YouTube, but you choose to rock with me. I am going to be vlogging my experiences for the game. Check this out. I ordered a personalized license plate last week, like 10 days ago, 14 days ago, somewhere around there. I don't have it. Now, I do have a receipt of my registration, a receipt of the fact that I paid for the bill or the plate and I renewed my tabs and all that stuff. I'm waiting on it. I could not even print out my temporary registration. So I am just with that receipt. Probably shouldn't be saying this, but I'm just with that receipt, and I am not going to drive to Wisconsin with a paper receipt. So if I don't get my new tabs between Tuesday by Saturday, then I will not be going to Green Bay. So yeah, I'm feeling some type of way. Yeah, I'm thinking I'm back. Let me know what you guys think, man. Hopefully I will be there because, yeah, it shouldn't be taking this long. Anyway, you guys are awesome. Take care of yourself and each other. And as always, go Lions.